Why are we going then?
We're supporting her. Margot tried to murder me when we were girls. She put me on a baking sheet, sprinkled me with paprika, and put me in the oven.
I'm just writing my vows. Are you working on anything now?
Yeah, how about you?
I hate that question. What do you do?
You ask me. William, what are you doing getting married to him? He's like guys we rejected when we were 16. Who should I be with then?
I'll punch your sister.
Never hit anyone.
I have too.
Who?
Lots of people. You don't know them. They're not around because I punched them.
Is it nice to see Pauline?
I really like her.
Yeah, she's pregnant. Margot told Claude something. I expressly told her in confidence.
It's one of those
Don't
things.
say anything, okay? Just be there for me, silently.
Okay.
I didn't want you to feel like you had to marry me.
I don't think.
Malcolm, what did I just say? Why did she pick that guy? It's really berserk. I don't understand her anymore. You know, she referred to me as her closest friend. Huh?
Have you ever cheated on me?
No. How many times do I?
Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
And I'm Rian Holmes. You know what? I'm tired of being your puppet.
Okay, interesting dynamic.
It was good while it lasted.
Let's start there. We're continuing the Baumbachinal. We are now in order. I unintentionally did the first two out of order, but we're now back in order. And from this point on, when's the next stylistic detail? I dare say that we're now in every movie is in the same mold until White Noise, which many people see as his, unfortunate bit off more than he could chew. And now he's back to making.
Oh, really?
A lot of people did like White Noise. Only us fools liked White Noise. No. A lot of people. Anyway, talk about White Noise.
Well, I think with the rest of his canon, by the sounds of it, you really have to kind of settle in. Like, for me, I feel as someone who's very new to like his early stuff, I feel like, for want of a better phrase, I'm like experiencing cinema in a new way. Like,
Wow.
I always but I always go in expecting some like big thing or like waiting for the other shoe to drop, and like it's not that. Like, you just have to sit with these characters for however long and feel like a part of a vignette almost. Which
that changes film to film. I think so. Each film is going for something different because I think Francis Ha does have its arc, and you could argue that this has its arc. I think they all have an arc in there. I mean, this one has a pretty big shoe drop. It does have a reveal of something monstrous, then a big screaming match, and then a decision at the end. It does have all the hallmarks of a big ending.
I suppose, but it's just the way that it's like delivered feels very not flat, but like
it's definitely like
it's like you're experiencing it in your real life. Like, you don't realize things have such gravitas and like are so pivotal at the time until you look back. And I think that's what like his charm is like presenting it in a very naturalistic way. But I guess also it's not naturalistic because of the way they talk to each other. So it's like a weird kind of, it's like you're an alien experiencing like being human.
Well, I think that's but no, I think there is Margot at the Wedding. I've always had a prickly relationship with Margot at the Wedding because in theory, she should probably be my favorite. I love weddings. Not that we get a wedding, fortunately. But more than that, I love Dame Nicole Kidman, who isn't a real dame. I love Nicole Kidman
Dame
with all
Nicole
my
Kidman,
heart.
OBE.
Night. And I'm a big fan of Jennifer Jason Leigh, and I like Jack Black. So everything's in the pocket for this to be my favorite, and I've just knocked it down to probably my least favorite and bumped Kicking and Screaming up. I don't know what it is about Margot at the Wedding, but something about it just, it's still far better than so many films and things of its ilk. But I don't know, something just has never clicked to me. And I tried really hard on this week, preparing for this podcast. I thought, oh, this will be the time. Maybe this is a movie where I was too young to watch it and I needed to be an adult or whatever. But no, that's not true. I've always enjoyed adult, And anyway.
Oh God, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what it is. What was your first reaction to Margot at the Wedding?
Again, it's that relationship between like just enjoyment mean that it was a good film, or like the lack of enjoyment mean that it was a bad film. And it's like there are so many moments that just make your skin crawl or like just make you viscerally uncomfortable, but by design. So it's like you can't
Oh
really
no, I have no issue with that. That's not,
yeah.
that goes without saying. I have no issue
Yeah,
with
I think, and you know me and my relationship to, wanting characters to root for and struggling with that whole
yeah, you don't have any real. This was the thing is that for the first time in a while, well, the first time in his career up until this point, the critics were majorly in line with you, really. This was not a critically favored movie, and most people said that everybody was awful. And I don't know if that's exactly true. I don't think that they're any more awful than anybody else.
I think Pauline is like the closest thing to kind of the heroine. Although, I say this as a precursor to what I'm about to say. I loved Jack Black. I think he held the movie for me. He carried it, even though he is unequivocally a douchebag. Like Margot, I really struggled with because I see
yourself in her.
Yeah, but I see so many real people in her. She does a wonderful job at being awful, but genuinely seeming like she doesn't recognize it in herself, or she does, but she doesn't know how to fix it. Whereas Jack Black is a little bit more of a caricature of just like an idiot.
Well, he is Ned Schneebly. This is I think the stroke of genius is strong, but the good of casting Jack Black is that, and Noah said it in an interview that I watched. It was like in this soft Noah voice that sounds a little bit like Adam Driver, and he goes, everybody, when you cast somebody like Jack Black, you have that opinion that this is the time they're going to be serious, and you're now going to see them really act. And I didn't want that. That's not why you cast Jack Black, and because there is the chance for this to be Jack Black's serious movie, blah blah blah. Whereas he is playing the sort of same comedic beats as a Ned Schneebly of School of Rock. You're not.
Yeah, Ned was the guy he was imitating. His name is Dewey Finn.
Oh, that is true. Yes. I've always just called him Ned Schneebly. Yeah. What a perfect film. Love School of Rock.
That is incredible.
Yeah. Would it be educational? We've lost all your children. Should have won Best Supporting Actress.
Those parents will come down on you like a nuclear bomb.
I love Stevie Nicks. Anyway, she's nowhere near as Minnesotan as you just did. That was like full-blown Kirstie Alley.
I did her as an accent reference for my voice class back in drama school, and I hammed that shit up, and I still passed.
Well, there you go. That's what matters. Yes, I think Jack Black is. I think everybody's great. I think the script's great. I just don't know what it is with this film in particular that just does not click for me. And I like it. I gave it 4 stars again on Letterboxd when I watched it again. I think it is really solid. And I think Nicole's sensational as always. And I think Jennifer Jason Leigh's wonderful. And I think Jack Black's great. And I just don't know what it is. I think it's going to be a very boring, annoying podcast because we're talking around something that I can't put my finger on, and I never have been able to.
I think I still have a lot to say about like the story and the messaging and stuff, but yeah, the vibes were not there for me.
I was going to say I haven't asked my normal,
Like-
just standard question. What did you think in general?
I have in my notes, and not to pit two greats, to a husband and wife against each other, but for me it was like Lady Bird without like the millennial charm.
I think it's the millennial. Well, to be honest, yeah, but does Lady Bird ignores the millennial charm by putting it 10 years in the past? Anyway,
well, no, because it's millennials would have been growing up in that time, in the 2000s.
I don't know how it works. I don't know. I guess it is about a mother and a child. I feel like that's the least part of. Well, I've always said, again, we're talking about different movies here when it comes to pitting against husband and wife. When everybody was like, "Why wasn't Greta nominated for Little Women?" and I was like, "Marriage Story is an infinitely better directed film than Little Women, and Little Women has a few issues with its epilogue for me that Marriage Story just doesn't have. That's just personal taste. Neither were nominated for Best Director. Todd Phillips was for Joker, but that's another matter entirely. And so you can look at it that way. But we can talk about before Greta, there was Jennifer. Baumbach met actress Jennifer Jason Leigh in 2001 while she was on Broadway in Proof, not in A Play with a Bear. But
and where do you go when it's windy? What is it?
Have you seen the Electras? By the time that this episode comes out, it'll have already been and gone. But Electra's coming to the West End with Brie Larson.
No way.
My two least favorite things: Brie Larson and the play Electra. But the thing is that it's going to be probably, no doubt, loads of cameras and loads of red and loads of black and loads of people picking each other up, which is exactly the fake Marriage Story version of Electra.
Yeah. It was a prophecy. Sounds like a Jamie Lloyd.
Started on him. Anyway, again, I'd love to work for you, Jamie. Put me in anything. I'm a willing and subservient actor. But I do feel like it's the Emperor's New Clothes, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. And I've said this multiple times. Of her character. Oh, no, sorry, Jennifer, we're talking about the marriage. So the couple married, they actually married on September the 2nd, 2005. Oh, no, they have really married now. Him and Greta privately, didn't they?
Did they?
Before Wimbledon, and then they went to Wimbledon to celebrate.
Oh.
Me and Greta privately married.
They are married.
Oh,
December
wonderful.
2023. 12 years of dating.
Well, or well, 12 and our next movie is Greenberg, which is the movie. So
okay, we'll say that.
It's the baton passing in front of our very eyes. It makes it a fascinating film. The couple married on September the 2nd, 2005. They have a son called Roma, who was named after French director Eric Roma. Eric Roma directed a film called Nicole on the Beach, Nicole at the Beach, which was going to be the original title of the film. But then they cast Nicole Kidman, and so had to change the names. Anyway, that's Eric Roma corner. So yes, him and Jennifer Jason Leigh worked together twice, and she read lots and lots of drafts of Margot at the Wedding and was always in line for Pauline. I don't know whether there was ever, I didn't find any interviews or anything where she was ever posited as Margot, although it is in Jennifer Jason's, capability. She's a sensei. What's your relationship with Jennifer Jason Leigh? Have you watched anything?
The thing. I haven't really. And so, like, I think she does Pauline very well, but it's a very kind of understated, again, very naturalistic portrayal. So I did
Until
wonder.
you're a fucking asshole. Get out of my
Wow.
ass. Get out of my fucking ass.
Um, but yeah, so I wouldn't have known what else was it kind of in her wheelhouse. But you say you think she.
Anything. She can do anything. She's wonderful. However, I do think when it comes to poised, steely, poisoned blood, there is nobody better
Yeah.
than my dear, dear, dear Nicole. I love Nicole Kidman so, so very much. I think, is she my favorite? I think she's my second favorite actress to Shirley MacLaine. I think just the variety of roles,
Mm.
the depth, the unflinchingness, the I don't like saying the word brave because it's demeaning, but like the lack of whatever. It she's just sensational. And now she's always done one for them, sure, your Aquamans or whatever, and your Golden Compasses that obviously didn't go anywhere. But she has never once not balanced those out with Dogvilles, with this, with Birth, with all manner of and
That's sort of
again,
scandal.
no, it's what?
No, never mind.
She would have been a great Sheba though.
Right?
Oh, when is the? I think they should make a play
Actually,
of
she could
those.
have been either of them.
You think she should have played 60-year-old? She's not even 60 now, is she? I think
Yeah,
she.
give it a couple of years, let her do the reboot that everyone's clamoring for.
We do Notes on a Scandal as a play in 10 years and get Kate Blanchett to play Barbara and get
Stop it.
some young thing to play Sheba Hart. Did I tell you that how well Notes on a Scandal went down? We did a full movie night. Leanne, Jazz, and Asa. Asa had already seen it. Just bring the house down. There's always that awkward
Ovation.
15 minutes where he explains the past,
Mm.
where everybody drops out, and then everybody's straight back in on. But it certainly wouldn't benefit the school. And you're like, get in, here we go. Oh, I love. Again, we need to find. Oh, it's too dark. There is some way that we can lip sync or drag Notes on a Scandal.
Oh, absolutely.
It's too
You're not
dark.
young. Give her
That
like
keeps.
give a little cat puppet.
Yeah, I'm Sheba, Portia. Oh, where's the little muggy? She died. It's now a bad time. That was a perfect time. I mean, I could do the whole film. Anyway, no sort of scandal. What? No, argue at the wedding. Oh, should we just do no sort of scandal instead?
Yeah.
This is reminding me of the episode that me and Will did with. I always used to say past and future guest, no longer. I don't care. Past guest Ava Robinson, and we were organised 6 episodes of Meryl movies. After which she then decided to not do any of them, but I'd already organised them and Will had already watched the movies. So he sat through August Osage County, which I don't like, and neither of us liked it. And we just talked about so much other bullshit. I don't think Margot at the Wedding's that bad. So let's talk about Margot at the Wedding. Of her character, Margot, Kidman said, I hope you see that the spikiness and the guardedness and the anger is actually a manifestation of her need to protect herself. She's not in a safe place, really, because her sister doesn't know how to take care of her. And she doesn't know how to take care of her sister. They feel like they should be very, very close, but they actually do not bring out the best in each other. Is there a better twist reveal? For me, it goes Sixth Sense, Primal Fear, and then Becky hates you. Me and Becky talk about you all the time. And the reveal that in actuality, it's not Becky isn't the outsider sister.
Yeah.
Margot's the outsider sister, and she just happens to be there that weekend. And we've been watching the movie through the eyes of the quote unquote villain. I mean, it's a maybe I was being too negative. I like Margot at the Wedding a lot, and again, it's so much better than so much shit. When I go watch, like, I don't know, anyway, any number of shit, there is. I could talk about Becky for forever.
Mm.
Well, where should we start? What's your? I know your mileage. I know your answer, and you've talked about it a little bit before. What is your mileage for movies where just everybody is somewhat reprehensible? Because specifically the lead, because Margot never
Yeah.
has anything. And the moment she possibly could have a reflective moment, she starts free associating about a refrigerator.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. And like it's something that I've had to get better with, like just with, viewership in general.
Living with talking, living with me in
Living
your
with
life.
you, yeah. I think I don't know, it's just the tone. Like if it's like volleyed up from the beginning of like, yeah, these are all reprehensible people. You got to get on board. Like, and I think there's a difference between like just following them, genuinely interested in like what happens, and
I'm looking
wanting the
now.
best for them. And I
Yeah.
think in spite of everything, like I do want the best for Margot because she is the centralized character, even though that's a bit of a futile exercise. Because certainly in like the hour and a half that we're with her, she's not going to make the best choices for herself. It would require a lot of intervention from a lot of different places that she just doesn't have. So it's like you have to make your peace with that as you're watching it.
There
And
is,
yeah.
I find, I'm just looking at his movies now, and there is an almost dividing line after this movie, nearly, of Greenberg. Uh, Greenberg, Greenberg is either a real, idiot slash maybe on the spectrum, but it's never said out loud, or he's just a really inconsiderate man. Greenberg's great. And then you've got Greta in there and the Greta stuff and he's like anyway. Then you've got and then there's kind of a tilt into um well, would you say that Frances is an overall nice person? Greta is such an instantly likable actress that you look past a lot of Frances's foibles. And then you get While We're Young, which I really love and think is really underrated actually in his canon. And that would arguably is his most straightforward movie. Mistress America, interesting again, but mostly likable two women. Meyerowitz stories, you kind of like everybody, and now it becomes just about how Dustin Hoffman, how they've been thwarted by an unlikely dad. White Noise is an interesting movie, and then you've got Marriage Story, where even though they're divorcing and have their moments, they are both imminently likable people, and so you're rooting for them to get to the best scenario because you know that, and this connection just didn't work. And so I do think after this point, that I don't. Is there the possibility that the critical disfavor of Margot at the Wedding and so many people saying that it was just unlikable people being unlikable for 90 minutes? Do you think he took that slightly to heart?
I mean, yeah, based on the stuff that he churned out afterwards, it's very possible. But
Churned out.
All the fan service,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's an interesting one because like I think you can with those other ones, you can spend however long, you can spend longer with them where they're not being redeemable, but because they have one kind of sliver of hope at the end, it kind of negates everything that came before, or like it just gives you something to come away with of like they're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know, I didn't see the ending of Margot the Wedding as a hopeful one.
I
I
also
saw it
think
as
it's a bit of a
that
nothing
kid's gonna
ending.
be so fucked up.
Well, I mean, this had Oscar Buzz, great podcast. They were saying, is the kid going to be gay or just an artist, or and I don't know. I maybe it's just slightly precocious, quiet children, and it is the SNL Wells for Boys thing with Emma Stone. But like, and what the gay choir that they did for Laura Dern at the Independent Spirit Awards, where they were talking about things that were gay in movies that year, and they're talking about Henry. He likes his mother and Halloween. It's like there is something slightly about how Claude, not the least bit because his name's Claude. I mean, he's been set up from birth there,
Well, yeah.
but there is something. Again, is Claude on the spectrum? She's very quick to diagnose the gay.
It's so the irony of it as well. She's so quick to diagnose everyone else when probably the most
Brilliant.
glaring thing is it's her.
Oh, she's so wonderful. I see. This is the thing. There is an alternate version of me in my version of the play Constellations. Oh, did you watch Margot at the Wedding? I love it. It's my favorite movie. You can see this being my favorite movie, can't you? Of like, oh, and I'm quoting
I can see
Margot,
how
and I hate
it
Margot,
has
and
like
I love Margot.
yeah, I can see how it would have like a cult following, and yeah, specifically you and your band of women supporting
Yes.
women's songs.
So why doesn't Margot crack the Mount Rushmore of? Well, I guess Margot's not, so she doesn't get onto the Mount Rushmore of Gracie and Barbara and Annie Wilkes, but
Yeah,
she
because I
is
guess
inherently disliked.
I was thinking of it in terms of like it's such a small cast of characters. Her reach isn't as much, but then also with May December, there wasn't like a whole lot of people, like, but it was more infamous. Like everybody kind of knew who she was, and so it was up to
And
Natalie
she made,
Portman to
yeah,
kind of find something redeemable about her, and then coming up, sure, that. Looking back, I have not really thought about May December since I watched it, but looking back, that was a great penny drop of, oh, Natalie is just as, well, not just as bad, but like very bad.
cheer, cheer. It's not that kind of thing. One of the great films of the past 10 years, unequivocally. Anyway, Margot at the Wedding is not that, but it is still pretty good. I don't have any 10-minute stretches. Again, we're in that Squid and the Whale mold of it being really snappy and snippy.
Yeah, neither do I.
I love Squid and the Whale so very much. This past rewatch of Squid and the Whale, I was like 5 out of 5, absolute masterpiece. I know you felt different, but like every single second of that, every single line, every single moment is absolutely.
It's so calculated, and that's
Yeah.
the thing that's with me is like
Margot feels looser.
Yeah.
And I do have, I do. I have time and patience for looser movies and that sort of thing. And the whole nothing happens by the end doesn't bother me normally. But I don't necessarily know if the ending is earned.
Yes.
And also, what is the ending?
Well, the
She
ending
leaves. She leaves her bag behind.
I did think of this, like she's got no luggage. No, I think it's her going back to her life because she was in a bit of a liminal state of almost leaving her husband and
Yeah.
having this like brief affair that wasn't very gratifying emotionally. Don't know about physically.
Dick
But yeah, and
Cruiseman.
it's her going back to Vermont to be with her, maybe her husband, but her son most of all, and kind of keeping on this string.
We needed like a moment of Claude being happy that his mother was leaving him, and then she runs back to the bus and gets on and go, I thought I was going to miss it, and then we just pan over to him and he goes, oh, and he looks
But
off.
as great as that would be, I don't think it's just not realistic because she has bred him to be this like cloying, you know, needy son who needs her validation and needs to know that, like, you know, she is going to be okay. And it's such an interesting dynamic played out of like borderline like abusive parenting of like, well, not, you know, it's just toxic in the sense of, you know, I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to make like these little, you know, micro things at you, and then I'm going to complain about like growing up and like, you know, oh, you've changed, you're so different. You used to be so like perfect. Still handsome though. Like it's those little
I don't think you
like
smell.
it's just,
And
yeah, chipping away at like his image and his self-esteem and like and wanting to keep him young, and then on the other side being like, you don't need me. You're fine. You go be on yourself. Like, I'm not mad at you. And it's just that the two sides of the coin. Well, yeah, because they talk about the potential of her having some kind of like BPD or, you know.
well, again, is there is a version of this movie, and I think we get almost there during the first 40 minutes of we're following Margot, and we don't necessarily realize how bad a person she is
Mm.
until everything around her happens, and then we hear other people's opinions, and uh, we get. And again, I think Nicole is just like is very likable as a presence, and so she can be smiling and like the tree. What an incredibly performative, brilliant slapstick moment of I'm going to climb that tree, and she runs up. Hey, I'm up here. Whee! And then and then we stay and we hold, and she, nobody's watching anymore, and they went to walk away. So, uh, 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 and she's in the tree, and then the bug in her ear,
Oh,
and then cut to the great fire engine reveal of having to get it down. Um, there is the less generous reading where you say, "Oh yeah, she's arrested development. Yeah, she's stuck in a. She's stuck. Yeah, she's stuck in her life, and she got herself up there. Yeah, yeah. Do you get it? Yeah." But I think it's just very funny, very slapsticky. Thomas Wheatley's specific favorite parts of the film before we take our first break. I love the repeated. It means a lot to Pauline that you came. Again, just like what else is he going to say in these many moments of yeah, yeah, yeah. It means a lot to Pauline. And again, that wanes obviously. Poor Becky. Yeah, poor Becky. Now it's a storage room. There is a lot here that I like. Find very very funny. It's sweet how Claude looks up to me. The wonderful Jack Black. She thinks everyone's autistic. I love Margot touching herself and then the flip over reveal that she's still got her mouth guard in.
the mouth guard. That was the top of my list.
The top. I didn't want to sound like a pervert. I get. Do we? Is that? Do we hold a little bit too? I mean, we're literally watching anyway. Not
Yeah,
literally, not literally.
bit much.
It's enough now. But on the other hand, I don't think the reveal of the mouth guard would work if we didn't sit there for a good 30 seconds.
True.
Again, and I think it exemplifies how lowly she is. We cut away from, you know, ignore the foibles of their relationship until later. But, you know, we cut away from Jack and Paul. Jack, I keep saying Jack Black. What's it called? Malcolm. Malcolm and
Malcolm.
Malcolm and Pauline having just a great time and having joking around, and then that great moment of joking around turning into actual sex, and then just that lovely, great relationship moment. And then we cut to sad, lonely, touching herself.
Yeah, it is.
Still wearing
It's a great juxtaposition.
And I don't know whether she just has small O's, but it doesn't seem that she can even get herself off anymore. And like, so that just furthers her, you know, misery in the world. Anyway, uh, I love the cutaway. What are you doing? I've got a fucking bug in my ear, okay? and then just hard cut away. I again put this on tattooed on my back. Stop picking on me, everyone. I love everyone. We're currently in rehearsal for a play where a kind of unnerving, not very nice woman constantly feels like everybody's picking on her anytime she's called out for the shit that she does. So I do. There is same with Annie Wilkes, and same with Barbara, same with Gracie. I'm just, why don't everybody just leave me alone? And so I do.
Maybe
Like
that's why
that
you feel
trope.
such a kinship, because you are cannon fodder for a lot of our jokes.
Oh yeah, there is a deep, deep. I mean,
But the
Jess,
mark of a great comic, I think, is being able to like take it on the chin, which I
yeah,
think you do very well.
I do very well. I mean, I once not snapped, but there was a moment where I was saying, I don't know, I said some joke on the cruise liner or something, and we were hosting, and my well lover and co-host said something like, "Oh, yeah, no, that wasn't. I didn't find that very funny." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't. I don't have a chance to find your things unfunny because you just do the same joke every single time." And it's always just like, it would always be like we would do it. How dry and dull is it hosting these quizzes over and over and over again? And so sometimes I'd throw in a fact, and I'd say the fact, and then the host, no matter which woman it was, would always go, "Thank you, Tom. Thank you for that interesting information." Question number 5. That's not a joke. You are offering nothing. Anyway.
Uh,
Too early for a Negroni?
Take your 5.
Um, the one about Mum. It wasn't really about Mum. I thought it was. Um, I love when they go over. Just be nice and just be, talk to him kindly and just see how we go. You're gonna cut down that tree, like appearing from behind. you know, sometimes the urge passes, but you don't have to fuck them. You can get a manicure or something.
Loved that.
Oh, if adultery was so simple. I've never cheated on anybody. It is simple. Don't fuck other people. Anyway, it's all coming out today, isn't it? Right.
Well, I know, but yeah, that's the thing about like a lot of
Adultery.
Baumbach's work is like this great kind of quandary about, oh, do I cheat? What does it mean? Can we take people back? Da, da, da. And well, at the time of filming, you and I have just watched a play that was all about that as well.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody who nearly took back the first woman who cheated on him, the other one was complicated.
Mm.
You know, and is currently at time of recording hoping that somebody doesn't go back to the man she doesn't like. It's terrible. It's like adult life is awful. I mean,
Well, that's the way that they present it, isn't it? Like, oh, you have no choice
darling, are
but
you not
to like
slowly
find.
realizing that it's true?
But like, I don't know, it's just the thing of like married couples kind of the this notion of like monogamy becomes such a struggle, and like it's a a pitfall of just heterosexual couples in general. It's presented as like, oh, you're gonna fucking hate each other in a few years. And it's like, I don't feel that we see enough genuine portrayals of like wholesome, good married life. Like it's the mum
Griffin
and dad
Newman
from Easy A, and that's it.
and the Ferris Bueller Mum and Dad. But Griffin Newman, great podcaster, great actor, said the other day on his podcast, he was like how the hardest thing to play is an uncomplicated, nice person. And
Mm.
because it's inherently uninteresting in some way. I can't remember what I was talking about. We get back to Margot at the wedding with best single minute.
I haven't done my specific
You
favorite.
haven't
No,
done your specific favorite.
you do this every time.
It's because they
Um,
don't value your opinion.
so The introduction to Jack Black and his road rage, just great, great. Like put it all on the table.
As somebody, pause, as somebody who is filled with seething rage,
hmm,
I'm not a road rage guy. And I bet you think I
thank
would
God.
be, yeah.
No, I don't see that for you. Because I think you keep all your rage very much contained and you just let it like bubble up. But I don't think you would ever expulse that onto other people, even if they were in
I,
another car, just on the off chance that they see you or that the people around you, because it's that's all you're doing. You're performing.
yeah,
If when you do road rage, you're performing for the other people in the car, and it's like no
I
one's
like
enjoying
the
that.
word performing. Uh,
I had an ex once, and it was like a great ick of mine. He got terrible road rage, and he would literally, uh, he would drive up to the side of a car and flip it off through the window. And one time he did it, and the car was on the passenger side, so he had to reach across me to give this guy a middle finger. And I was like, "This is my hell. This is
I'm
awful."
I'm in a pseudo relationship now with somebody who will probably end up a future ex, and apparently my technology hatred is an ick. Like when I get angry at technology, and I said to her, I said, I'm
Yeah.
filled
Yes,
with
that is the
rage
only time that you let it out.
because it's an inanimate object, and it's a healthy way for me to release the anger without putting it on other
Yeah.
people. Um, it also isn't
It's actually
healthy.
great.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Other specific favorite parts, but this does lead on to the fact that sorry, the fact that in multiple Noah movies we have the Monopoly anger in Marriage Story, we have the tennis anger in Squid and the Whale, and we have the croquet anger in this. This is why I love Noah dearly. You know, I am a man filled with rage. Continue.
But that's interesting as well because it kind of alludes to like a preservation of these characters as well, of like, I don't want to let it out on the people around me. So I'm gonna just let rip
I mean, it's like
at this
when
object.
do we see Charlie snap? Get in the fucking car and
The car seat.
yeah, the car seat. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, the car seat. He
Yeah.
doesn't say get in the fucking car. What does he say? To the fucking belt or whatever he says. Henry,
Mm.
just get in the fucking car, Henry. Um, and then obviously the big blowout scene. But again, it's saved, which to be honest with you, is like life. It's building and building. I mean, the great thing, just make sure that your argument doesn't become your argument about, if an argument stays on the subject that you started arguing about, it will die. The
Yeah.
minute the minute that you stop arguing about the computer and argue, you get like this
What's that
every
to do
time
with
we
a
yeah,
leg?
yeah, what's it gonna do with the leg? Um oh what a great anyway, we're not talking about marriage story. Um your other specific favorite parts of the film.
I didn't write down the line that it was, but it's when Margot's talking to Claude and just Nicole's accent completely comes through. It's like the most Australian sentence.
Nicole is great with accents. Leave Nicole alone. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it right now. No, I'm not going to say it right now. She's not going to win. But two-time Oscar winner Nicole Kidman. This episode will come out after the
OBE,
Oscars.
Knightess, Countess.
She's going to be in the conversation.
Um, I've also got Malcolm talking about
Excuse
prison
me,
guard
sorry. You
theory.
sound like a Dalek. Something went wrong with your mic.
What about now?
Still the same. We're going to pause for 1 second, and we're back. The Davos. What was his Davros? Sorry, Davros
Um,
has left.
I've got Malcolm talking about prison guard theory in relation to women being bad drivers. They get a little bit of power and they abuse it.
I have it here if you're not going to quote it directly. I have this theory. I think historically women have been held back in so many ways that when they get power like they do behind the wheel, they can't help but abuse it. It's akin to Hannah Arendt's Eichmann's theory about prison guards and prisoners switching roles. Genius. Brilliant. It's like my
Yeah.
theory that the only time I'm sexist about women is tennis. Sorry, pause.
We might actually have the opportunity to do doubles in the near future.
With that, nobody listens to this podcast, with a woman I hold in medium esteem and her new boyfriend.
Yes, and you and I.
Oh, right, yes. You know I'd get angry at you because you're bad to start with,
Yeah.
as we know. Our unnamed medium esteem person and boyfriend good?
I think he's good. He's probably got money for lessons. She's not good. So
No.
you could have a singles with us as like buffers.
You got time for a quick game, Ivan?
My brother.
Yeah. Why are you doing those junkyard chats, my brother? It's McEnroe. It's the chip shots, McEnroe. My grandma called me Baumbach because I was always the silent player when I was a child. Now I'm so angry. Well, I've told you this. No, I never make noises when I'm playing. But I've told you the story about me and Will playing doubles with two of his friends, and we lose. I take it to 5 sets. I take it to the 5th set. Or maybe it was just 3. Anyway, we lost the first. I pulled the 2nd set, and then I think we just went for 3 sets. And it got down to like a tiebreaker or something. And I was like, Will, just get it over the net. I'll win the point. Just get it over the net. And we did lose mainly because of Will. And like, he genuinely thought, and then we had a night out to enjoy after that. And he genuinely thought, oh no, he's angry with me and doesn't like me.
Oh God.
Tennis. Any more specific ever bad at the Bob?
No.
Good stuff. Single minutes. Going through all the records and the Malcolm's music career, and again, Pauline kind of feeding into Margot's opinion of herself as that cool sister. Like, yeah, and I showed you the Pixies, yeah, and REM, yeah, and just that great back and forth, and then this leads into maybe the most bizarre moment of the film, and I'm sure alienating, and I don't even know if you'll have it in your change. But, I think Becky got it the worst. Did she ever? Raped by the horse trader. And then that hysterical laughter of, like, is that a family joke? Did that actually happen? Has enough time passed?
Is that something that she said happened? That they, like, have a mutual understanding of, like, no, it probably didn't. That's the kind of vibe that I got. Because I don't know. And it's been a week of, like, media that's just very blasé about like sexual misconduct. I watched The History Boys with Ace, and it's just so
it was
bizarre.
the 80s.
Yes, it was the 70s. But yeah, it's just that kind of weird, like, generational thing of like we haven't learned to be as stoic and serious about this yet, because we don't know what to do with all the emotions that would come out of that.
Well, it's the same way they talk about their father and the abuse their father put had upon them. Again,
but then, I think that's more commonplace for me now, to be like, oh yeah, like talking about your own trauma in a very offhand way, because that's how you kind of detach yourself from it. But the thing that like strikes me as the most odd about that scene is the knowledge then that Pauline is actually really close with Becky.
Which
and so
leads,
it's like,
yeah.
how much does she play both sides? Like, is she just as two-faced?
Of course she is. Of course she is.
Yeah.
Everybody is. Everybody's an awful person.
Nothing is more dangerous to me, I feel, than a 3-daughter family. Like I have one
You,
sister.
you know that within a month we're getting a critically acclaimed. I mean, it's already come out and everybody's forgotten about it because it's on Netflix. But within a month is his three daughters, which is Carrie Coon, Natasha Lyonne, and Elizabeth Olsen, in a critically acclaimed drama about three daughters dealing with their dying father.
Nice. Yeah, because I just think like when you have one sister, you have no choice but to accept each other for all of your foibles. And like I think there would be a lot more kind of fierce protectiveness of each other, even while you hate each other. Whereas with three, it's like it's so much more fraught because then, if one of them's bugging you, you can go to the other one and bitch about her, and then like, yeah, yeah, just strange.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this at home and you're like, I have two sisters and we get along fine, you're the one they're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, the other one. you know, if you don't if you can't spot the asshole in the room, it's you. Um, Best single minute, Margot telling the gay couple to have their child tested for autism the minute he leaves the room.
Great.
Have you thought about testing him for autism? Well, that's what they always say. You never know until you check.
The thing is as well, I think it's kind of ahead of its time in a sense because everything she was saying, it's like, yeah, you know, it is good to know. And these are, typical traits. Obviously, there's the, thing of them not being very close and them already saying, we don't want to have this discussion with you, that she just steamrolls. And it's that kind of like it's that ignorance of social cues which makes me think that she is the autistic one in the scenario.
True.
Um, but I think everything she's saying, she moves with the greatest of intentions a lot of the time, and but just doesn't have the charm or like the tact to get it across in a good way. I don't know. I'm kind of flip-flopping on my own assertion that she was like abusive at the beginning. I don't know if it is that cut and dry, but I think she's there are moments where you see her really try, and then there are moments where you see her just act completely like obtusely and like say things that you must know that that's going to leave a mark, and that's where the frustration lies.
She hopes that it'll leave a mark because if it
Exactly.
leaves a mark, then they'll remember for the better
Yeah.
or for the worse.
Yeah.
The croquet, which we've already discussed. What the fuck? And throwing the croquet away in the end, very funny. Again, Margot meeting the family in the woods. Hey, hey, don't leave that child like that.
And again, it's so difficult because it's like, yeah, in a perfect world, you would just be able to call things out like that without any of the kind of social murkiness or like the repercussions of we don't want this family on our bad side. But it's like she just sees injustice and she's like she's calling it out. She's calling it like she sees it.
But is that like just the straw that broke the camel? He threw a rock at me. Pull that baby's arm out of its socket. And she doesn't sound like that. But it probably a valid reaction. You've got to word this child as she pelts you with rocks, and she goes, "No, you can't leave her with that." And again, is that her dealing with an autistic child and having to have a different temperament?
Yeah.
And then, yeah. The I love the single minute of the 10-year-old boy listening to Parallel Lines by Blondie, because that was me. The Chinese leftovers, when they're slightly drunk and slightly, the broke me get close to the blowout, but we don't get there. The book interview is sensational. But what about if there's anything of you in the father character? No. We had our refrigerator, and then she just goes off on one, and I'm gonna have to, go. Thank you, brilliant, wonderful.
Oh, and her tripping over the mic lead. Oh, God.
I mean, it's an Oscar clip. It's great, great stuff. Any nominations for Best Single Minute? Oh, and then obviously Jack on the phone at the end. Oh, please tell me back. I'm such a fucking idiot.
I've got I've got all different ones. This is great. The aftermath of like the tree conversation with the neighbors. I just want to punch someone. You've never punched anyone. You don't know who I've punched. They're not here anymore because I punched them all. I'll punch your sister.
Just such an idiot.
The bizarre toilet hovering conversation of why sit when you can stand, or why stand when you can sit.
I only ever squat in public toilets.
The church exchange between Pauline and Claude, where you see she's kind of shedding the cool auntie like forcedness, and it just becomes like, complete love and guidance, and not even trying to pit him against his mother. Just she has the utmost sympathy for her in that moment of like she's been really humiliated and like distressed, but like there's a child here that needs to know that like however she acts about this is not his fault. And I think I think it was like beautifully done. And then the cutting the tree with the reveal of I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something and you just can't.
It's a wonderful
Okay.
what's she called? Haley Pfeiffer or something like that. Anyway, poor Jesse Eisenberg's girlfriend from Squid and the Whale
Yeah.
back. Brilliant here as always. What was I going to say? Yeah. So what were you saying before about loving Jack Black?
I do. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's more overt in its like playing for laughs.
Question we have to answer right now. How old actually is she?
I think she's like 17.
Okay, so it's in that.
Because she calls.
I have no interest, but it is in that grey area of a year. I don't know what legal is.
Pauline's
16
still
legal?
It's statutory because he's not. It's 16 to 18.
Oh, statutory. Yes,
16 to 18, then it's fine. Anything beyond that is statutory. So yeah, she literally, Pauline is like, it's pedophilia when she's at her most kind of,
Yes, she does.
clear.
Maybe my favorite part of that is, we just kissed. We made out. I don't want to undersell it.
I don't want to undersell it. We made out.
You're
stealing all my best lines.
Sorry. But I don't want to undersell it either is brilliant shit. Let's do best line. I'll kick it off. My scrotum is longer than my penis.
I have adult ADD. You mean child ADD? No, I have the adult version.
What was it about Dad that had us fucking so many guys?
I knew you'd like that.
What? No, wait, take that back right now. Why? I don't know.
That whole exchange felt so alien to me, but I guess it's because I don't talk about sex with my sister.
And
some people find a normal middle ground.
Yeah, the few handful of times me and Isabel have ever talked or flirted with any sort of subject sexually, I've immediately been like, no. I guess brothers and sisters have a slightly different relationship, but then there are brothers and sisters who do have that relationship.
Yeah, well, because you're the older one as well, so you can speak to the kind of idea of I don't want to think of you in that way, which I'm sure my sister feels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll bet you $500 is pee in that pool.
Oh, I didn't write this down. Dick doesn't care that you don't have any money, that you don't make any money.
That was good.
Lovely coping mechanism here. I was dating that guy Horace back then. Do you remember him? Was that the guy who liked to rough you up? No, that was our dad. just, and then it continues. That's awful. That's stuff that happens to kids. Malcolm was fondled by a male babysitter, and then
and do with that information whatever you want.
And that just frank openness. Anyway,
That's the thing. You could have had that been the only gag, and that would have been fine. I think the horse trainer was a bit much.
I think they're the sort of sisters who will talk behind. I think there is an exact version of this movie where Becky and Pauline are having a weekend together, and Becky says, or Pauline says, me and Margot talk about you. You're never here. And there's a
Mm,
version where Becky goes and visits Margot in New York, maybe less so, but like,
yeah.
and they're talking about, Pauline, Pauline just sat there with that fool,
This is the thing. It's dangerous.
there's a like okay movie called Hanging Up, which is Nora Ephron's sister Delia's, oh Jesus Christ, Nora Ephron's sister's Delia's directorial debut. And Nora and Delia both wrote the script, and it's three sisters again dealing with the death of Walter Matthau, their father, and it's Meg Ryan, Lisa Kudrow, and Diane Keaton, written by
Mm.
Nora Ephron, and it's like, is this going to be the best movie ever? And it's just okay, and it's like it's so close to being great. Anyway, um, I have the emotional version of whatever bad feng shui would be. I don't know. You tell me. You don't understand this shit. Did you drink your teas? Yes, I drank my fucking teas.
Favorite fucking tease. I haven't had that thing yet where you realize you're not the most important person in the world. Anxious for that to happen.
You, why do you not love Wes Anderson more? I feel like with your love for precocious
I
young
do love
men,
Wes Anderson.
okay, but I feel like it should be your thing. Like you love precocious young men in films, like quite,
Mm.
and then you love legal
Still conscious
precocious
about our
men.
new muscles.
Like all of this feels so very much in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love the kind of charm of it, but I guess again, it's like it's the same relationship as I have with films like Noah's. It's like you have to just settle in and be like, okay, this is what I'm getting. There's not going to be a whole lot of like heart. Well, there is heart, but like it's very kind of bam, 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 bam.
I think there's a lot more frank discussion
Frankness. Yes.
in with Noah
Yeah.
that, but then, well, Moonrise Kingdom's like a fairy tale in a way, but it's not because then you've got the great Bruce Willis stuff and the Francis McDormand. I love Moonrise Kingdom. Anyway, any other lines? I just have the best line in the entire film. This is why I hate games. I hate what it makes of me. Again, tattoo it on my back.
Ingrid was asking me if I've ever been gay. Do you know what that's about? I got the one about if you get your sense of self from being fuckable and that starts to wane, it's very hard. I almost had an affair too, but don't have to do it. You can, I don't know, get a manicure or something. Um, I don't want to undersell it either. We made out. If I could read your handwriting, I'd be furious. And
Great.
then this one's just lovely, I feel. I don't know where you thought I'd go. The backyard didn't lead anywhere. I just think like that just kind of sums it up for
Finding
me.
life and the perfect home.
Yeah, and like the nuclear family. But also like it kind of is a parallel to, Pauline's life and like, what she's on the precipice of staying there potentially forever. Like it was like this I think they really mastered the setting of like this like little coastal town. You get there by ferry.
Yeah,
Um,
the familial house.
the familial house, it's like you don't want to just leave that behind, but
See
also
this
where would you go?
in interviews. Noah was he talked a lot about how he didn't want the tree to be too big a focus, and like I didn't want it to be too obviously the family tree. And I was like, you can't put a fucking tree in a movie about a family and not and have the image of the family tree being cut down, where everybody's going to realize what you're doing. It's not subtle. What's the change? I've only got a couple really. Malcolm doodling the sex position, not something any human would do. Or would it? I guess some people do that. I don't
Like,
know.
yeah. I've got incense and self-help books versus no deodorant. Let me talk about this. It's like all the kind of synopses and like the why are you shaking your head at me?
Deodorant and showering is incredibly important. I don't trust anybody. Oh, sorry, continue.
No, that's what I'm saying. All the synopses are like, straight-laced Margot visits her like freewheeling, carefree sister, and the
Like it's
sister's
Meet the Fockers.
yeah, but the sister's whole shtick is meant to be she likes her teas and she likes her yoga and she, she's very tantric and she has the incense and self-help books. And Margot's like, she looks so stupid doing this. She berates me for getting therapy and then she does all this. And yet she's the one who says to Claude about, oh yeah, deodorant, like the chemicals that give you cancer. I feel like that was more of a Pauline thing to have said, or flip it on its head. Margot's the one who's into all the holistic stuff and therefore won't get therapy.
That makes sense. Yeah. Or is Margot the sort of person who changes therapists once every year?
When they
Wasn't
say
going.
something that she doesn't like,
It
yeah.
wasn't going anywhere. Dr. Lawrence just wasn't going anywhere. So I'm trying somebody new now.
Trying like the kind of fad health crazes. Because like that's the thing with Pauline, it was all things that they said about her, but I never really got that impression of
Yeah,
her.
I
Of
can
that
see
she
that. I
was
can see that.
very like yeah, holistic. It was only the one line about have you been drinking your teas. Everything else didn't feel very characteristic of her. I don't know.
True. No, I can see that. Yeah, did we need a literal moment of her doing yoga in the morning? And
Like
anyway,
meditating or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Oh, sorry. I have one. The sex neighbor. When Claude's watching the neighbors have sex in the garden, through the window, through the fence, is that the gay couple or is that the couple who want their tree cut down? That huge man.
I don't know.
Either way, who has
Also
sex?
the things with the pig. I thought that was weird.
Yeah. Any other changes?
That was all.
There we go. Most specific Halloween costume, that wonderful pink hat.
I'm trying to think which one that was.
The floppy pink hat.
Of Margot's.
It's the poster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you have anything?
Um,
It's just like slacks.
yeah. It's
Um,
not really an exciting costuming.
I don't even have any fun facts, really. The movie spontaneously went into pre-production the day after Nicole first read the script because she called up Noah and was eager to star in the film.
Yeah.
And they immediately had to get the ball rolling. Jennifer read every single draft and was very, very close to Pauline. She said that, basically he knows basically what I have to give and made it feel very safe and secure. Until Greenberg. Tagline rundown: one family, infinite degrees of separation.
Oh.
No. Thomas, big question. Talking about sex and rape. We're with family. It's okay. But there's two young kids there.
Yeah. Well, they're very uncouth around their kids in general.
Yeah.
Like
Got a
they don't.
fucking bug in my ear. Will you swear in front of your kids?
Um,
I don't
no. I'll make an effort to.
swear.
If they ask me kind of what words are, there's a new phenomenon with parents now where they let their kids swear in the bathroom, but only in the bathroom because it's like potty language, and then they come out and they never use it outside.
Just fucking
I don't know.
Just fucking kill
Um,
me. Send me to hell. I don't
but
care.
yeah, I think it kind of undercuts the whole thing of like the meeting of Jack Black, which I really enjoyed, of like, oh, he's very uncouth, he swears in front of his kid, and then
They all do.
they all do. So it's kind of like, what was that for?
Again, you could give this film a bit more credit and say that's Margot's hypocrisy again.
My big question, yeah. Well, not really a big question, just
Mm.
has falling it to you. How many people were going to come to the wedding? It didn't look like anything was ready.
Nothing's ready. Things keep arriving. Like the Chinese leftover scene, there is like all those plates and everything. So things are arriving. And gifts and wines and boxes and crates of wine.
Like you literally forget that a wedding is even on the cards because of
Maybe
how
that's a change.
it
Like,
looked.
make it more of a wedding movie. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've
Yeah.
just rewatched Father of the Bride. And have you ever watched Rachel getting married?
No.
Good movie. Anne Hathaway.
I guess it's more of a you accept the fact that she just leaves afterwards because it's more of an understated non-wedding. I think if it was like they had all the bells and whistles and like the aisle and everything, you'd feel a little bit more icky about her not going back to see it through. I mean, Margot now, not Pauline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of forgot that was ever a thing.
Yeah, I think
I guess you needed it because of the stakes of like, oh, they're not just gonna like go back to dating and see how it goes. It's like you're either gonna marry him and live with him forever, or you're gonna say, fuck it, I'm not doing it.
there's a lot there, and everybody's great in it.
Mm.
And I just don't know. Uh yeah, I don't know. You told me sternly to not ask for your ranking after every single episode.
Yeah.
Um, but if I were,
I would probably say that this one is like at the bottom, but
yeah.
they had a lot of merit. Like you say, there wasn't a weak link across the board. There were moments where I genuinely laughed out loud, but I
Oh yeah,
wouldn't prize it as a comedy.
this is the thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
It's a
kind of
drama. It's a
all this stuff
dramedy.
kind of is outside of the realms of
Well, I mean, well, this is the thing.
put it in the box, man.
I mean, we're recording this on the after the Emmys, and there's just all this bullshit again about the bear and the bear is the bear comedy, and then it's like
It started out as well, yeah, I would say it's a drama.
it's not the comedy award and it's not the drama award. It's the half hour award and it's the hour award. We've known this for decades. It's
Oh, you
just
don't
that
think they split into the genres anymore?
well, no, I do think it should be split into those genres, but
It's interesting as well because I think they recognized that. I don't know whether it was because of like categorization or whatever, but I feel like they tried to lean more into the comedy in season 3 and it's kind of fell short.
and it's I mean we talk about all those jokes of the golden again categorization is so boring. I don't you know
Yeah.
I don't write anything to be a lot of my stuff, as you've read, falls into that dramedy mold. I find a lot of, I enjoy a lot of dramedy work. I enjoy writing a lot of dramedy work.
And it's the intersection of all the things you want to say. It's like sometimes you do just have a lot of gags that you want to work in, and sometimes you do have like a heartfelt monologue that you just really wanted to get
Which
on
is,
paper.
I mean, like Bowen Yang said it when he got interviewed. He said, "Yeah, the Bear's funny. Succession was the funniest show on the air for 5 years, and it was. Succession was absolutely hilarious. Mad Men, one of the
Yeah.
great dramas of all time, so fucking funny.
Marriage Story, one of the best comedies of our
Exactly. As
time.
Terms of Endearment, as you yet to watch Terms of Endearment, but Terms of Endearment may be my biggest influence in all of this. Everybody talks about that as the cancer movie. The cancer's only in the final half hour. Up until then, is a family dramedy, mother daughter, hilarious. Anyway, life is full of balance, and that is why we love Baumbach. And it is time for things to change in the world of Noah Baumbach, not just in his filmmaking, but in his private life as well, with the wonderful film Greenberg, where we will talk about the film, I'm sure, and you will feel icky and weird as you normally do, and we will discuss the introduction of Miss Greta Gerwig into the Baumbachinal. Thank you very much, Rian.
Thank you.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da-ba.